Today's investigation is another collaboration with the amazing creator Jasmine from Crazy Cat Parrot. If you haven't seen her perspective on this case yet, make sure to visit her channel after this video. You'll find the links in the description and in the pinned comment. Instead of trying to convince you what happened, we're doing something different. We're asking the cards to reconstruct the hidden story behind one of America's most controversial murder cases. So let's begin the reading. This reading does not begin with an unknown intruder. It begins inside a house. From the very first spread, the symbolism keeps returning to the same place, not to an outside force breaking in, but to emotional pressure, internal conflict, and a decision that appears to have formed long before the violence itself. One image repeats again and again throughout the reading, a carefully maintained appearance hiding something that was already collapsing beneath the surface. The cards do not describe sudden chaos. They describe tension that had been building over time. When I asked whether an unknown attacker entered the house that night, the symbolism became noticeably weaker. Instead of revealing the presence of an independent outside figure moving confidently through the scene, the images shifted toward confusion, contradictions, and events that appear to have been reconstructed after they occurred. It almost feels as if the reading is asking a different question entirely. Not who came into the house, but did anyone actually need to? Another striking pattern concerns intent. The energy surrounding the crime does not resemble uncontrolled rage. It feels compartmentalized, almost calculated. Certain actions appear deliberate, while others seem intended to support a particular narrative after the fact. The symbolism repeatedly suggests two separate stories unfolding at the same time. The real sequence of events and the vision that would later be presented to investigators. As the reading continues, another detail becomes difficult to ignore. The cards consistently point towards someone attempting to maintain composure even while enormous psychological pressure was building beneath the surface. Rather than depicting a person overwhelmed by panic, the symbolism suggests someone trying very hard to remain in control. And that distinction is important because genuine panic often appears chaotic. This energy feels organized. When I explored the possibility of direct involvement, the cards became unusually focused. They did not reveal an image of an unknown killer standing over the victims. Instead, they repeatedly returned to one central figure whose emotional world appears deeply connected to everything that unfolded that night. The symbolism doesn't simply place this person near the tragedy, it places them at its emotional center. Interestingly, the reading also suggests that the truth may not be as straightforward as simple premeditated murder. The images hint at emotional overload, psychological fragmentation, and a moment where several unresolved pressures may have collided at once. Whether those pressures resulted in deliberate violence or a catastrophic loss of control is something the cards never answer with absolute certainty. But they consistently refuse to move the focus away from the home itself. When I asked whether investigators overlooked important evidence, the answer was surprisingly strong. The reading suggests that some details were either underestimated or interpreted only through the lens of the original investigation. Certain inconsistencies appear to remain unresolved even decades later, not necessarily because they were hidden, but because they were explained too quickly. One of the most interesting parts of this reading concerns motive. The cards do not point toward money, not revenge, nor an outside conspiracy. Instead, they repeatedly describe emotional exhaustion, unbearable internal pressure, fear of losing control, and a desperate attempt to preserve an image that was already beginning to crack. Whether that pressure came from personal struggles, family dynamics, or something even deeper is impossible to state with certainty. But the symbolism consistently returns to psychological collapse rather than external criminal intent. By the, by the final spreads, the atmosphere changes completely. Instead of searching for a mysterious stranger, the reading feels like watching layers of illusion slowly disappear. Piece by piece, the focus narrows, the circle becomes smaller, until eventually the symbolism points back to where it started, inside a family, inside a house, inside one person's emotional world. Of course, Sarah cannot determine legal guilt. It cannot replace evidence, forensic science, or a courtroom. But if the symbols represent the hidden emotional architecture behind the case, yeah, they seem to suggest that investigators may have been looking in the right direction all along. And perhaps the greatest mystery isn't who entered that house, but whether anyone ever truly left it. Thank you for watching.